So if you'd like to hear any lore, and I mean any lore whatsoever from the Fallout universe, check out the Patreon. From the $1 tier to the $10 tier, your voice, yes, your voice, is heard weekly when I ask a poll question about what character you'd like to hear about from the Fallout universe. It could be a character, a location, a weapon, a quest, anything. So this week I asked the Patreon, would you like to hear about Jessup or McMurphy? And McMurphy won, but like I said, I can't talk about one without talking about the other. So this week's lore is on Jessup and McMurphy from Fallout New Vegas. Jessup and McMurphy are both cons hired by Benny to help track down the courier. Both Jessup and McMurphy are with Benny when they shoot the courier twice in the head. You get to see them in the cutscene. In the beginning cutscene, the opening cutscene, where it shows Benny shooting the courier in the head. And Jessup says a couple of lines, I don't believe McMurphy does. And then they kind of go away and you get to interact with them later, but one of them has died. And a bulk of where you get to find out about these characters is from the New Vegas Collector's Edition, where there is the comic All Roads. Because there's a third person who's with them, a fellow by the name of Chance, another con who is super integral to who these other cons are. And before I can talk about Jessup and McMurphy, I really have to talk about Chance. Now, in 2278 is the Bitter Springs Massacre, which I gotta make the Bitter Springs Massacre a bit of lore for the poll soon, because I don't feel like I know enough about it other than what I've read and the little bit that I've played in game through Boone's storyline. Innocent women, children, and elderly cons were killed by NCR, and Chance was there and just can't escape this hell in his head. Chance suffers from severe PTSD. He has a couple of triggers. One of them I'll talk about in just a moment. That's probably the worst, but he can't run away from it. And if I appreciate New Vegas for anything, it's the attempting of running away from your past. Especially, that's why I think the Sierra Madre is my favorite DLC, just because it talks about grief and it talks about running and it talks about how you can't get away. Like, the problem doesn't go away no matter how far you run from it, no matter how much you ignore it. The problem is there. Confront it. And maybe, just maybe, if you're lucky, it goes away. Fire is Chance's biggest trigger. The biggest thing that triggers Chance is the sight of fire. Most of Bitter Springs, when attacked, is burned down. In the comics, there are some slides, there are some panels that show the town of Bitter Springs being burned down. After the Bitter Springs Massacre, Chance stopped speaking. He just stopped talking. He just didn't do it anymore. It was a trauma response that he just said. I don't even know if he said it to himself. He just stopped. He shut down. His body would not allow him to speak. And he started to get heavy into chems. He started to self-medicate. He started thinking that maybe he could make it all go away if he used drugs. Both Jessup and McMurphy thought that maybe being with Benny and the other cons would help him during this mission. Maybe it would help him get over it. Even though it's been some time, maybe just being out in the wastes and doing something would help him rekindle, pun not intended, but rekindle who he might be on the inside. When discussing the terms of the mission, Benny took out his lighter to smoke a cigarette, and this triggers Chance's PTSD. Something that Benny picks up on, and Benny says, the hell is his problem? Jessup replies with, your lighter. Benny, oh, one of a kind. He likes fire? Jessup, Chance was at Bitter Springs when NCR hit. Still sees it sometimes. Can't let go. So even something as minor as a lighter, he can't deal with. Something as small as just a little pocket flame is enough to set him off. If I got nothing out of who these cons are from All Roads, is that they're criminally loyal to one another. They see, and I'll reference this in just a moment, but they see being a con as not a friendship, not a partnership, but a family. They're a step above regular raiders because they see each other, at least these cons, see each other as family, as kinship. They love each other. They probably wouldn't say it, but they love each other. Benny continues with, look at him, he's sweating, coming down. He loses it, he's your responsibility. Jessup replies with, don't worry about that none. Cons carry our own. When the four of them got to the ambush spot, they noticed fiends in the distance trying to decide on what to do. Chance slipped away and attacked the fiends with only his knife. Chance is a very big man. He's a very big man with long blonde hair, depicted to be very, very strong, very buff for the wasteland. On screen, I'll put a depiction of what Chance looks like right now. But it is just the four of them. And he sees that these fiends are terrorizing a small little tribal camp. And one of them has a flamethrower, and it sets him off. He can't think straight. The only thing Chance can think about is murder. And he wants to kill these fiends because he sees these small tribals as his family that were ripped away from him from NCR. So Chance goes and attacks the fiends and takes most of them, if not all of them, out. But this enrages Benny because it puts such a delay on the plan that they had to intercept the courier. And Benny will say, "This is your friend on a good day? And you want to dose him up with Jet and Psycho and whatever other Brahmin shit chems you can and pray it'll keep him calm? Put his ass down." Jessup and McMurphy draw their weapons, believing this to be a threat that Benny is about to kill their friend. And Benny sees this and just goes, "Fine, no need to say it. Cons carry their own. You deal with him, he's your friend." And Jessup snaps back with family. All of the lore that I'm bringing to you today, I get from the Fallout Wiki, fallout.fandom.com. Some of this I actually read up on. I have All Roads right here, but I didn't feel like taking it off the display and whatever. So I went on like the Internet Archive, and there's an upload of it there, and I reread through the comic there. All of this left Chance in a really, really bad way, both physically and mentally, after killing these cons. And during that night, Chance had another PTS dream about the attack at Bitter Springs, and Benny wakes him up from the dream and offers him a cigarette and tells him a bit of a story of an old boot rider that Benny used to ride with, of Benny's old gang before they became the chairman, before civilization came to them and they grew up a bit. They were part of the boot riders. Now, Benny wants to tell a story to Chance about this fella. And the story goes as such. So I run this casino, the Tops. Great view. Can see all Vegas from the window. We had acts from all over the Mojave to perform there. Entertainment, class acts. But there was this one, see, the singer. The singer used to run with us back when our old gang rode the Mojave. Like you cons, the boys loved him. He'd sing around the campfire songs about us in the old days. Then we walk the road to Vegas, all the lights of the old world still glowing, pretty as you please. Met the man who runs Vegas. He showed me a whole new way to live. Don't need to play tribals anymore. Thing is, the singer came with us too, and he didn't see Vegas the way we did. Kept singing the old songs from when we were riding the Mojave, kept talking about how we should hit the road again. So he did, in his own way. Problem was, when he sang My Boys, they started thinking about how things used to be. You could see it. The last little touch of the old ways there, pulling at their heartstrings like a piano. Nostalgia's a hell of a drug, Chance. You felt it when you decided to kill those fiends. You wanted to be back there with the cons in Bitter Springs. And this time, make it right. That singer wanted to go back too. And the only way he could was to shoot himself up with all sorts of shit. He could have left it alone, cleaned up, changed his tune. But he didn't want to change. Me, I'm not like the singer. I'm done thinking about how things used to be. This courier is the key. I get the package. I won't walk the Mojave ever again. The Mojave will walk to me. I'll hold Vegas in my hand. Thought you might appreciate this. Benny continues to say while he shows a vial of what can only be assumed to be a very potent chem. You're tough, Chance. I hope you can keep it together till the job's done. I really do. But I need you to change your tune. If you can't, Benny places the vial at Chance's feet. Not saying it's an easy road, and it's hard to walk. If you need to lose yourself for a while, go on and take it. The vial sits next to Chance while he looks at the stars for a bit before he looks back and forth and decides to take the mystery vial. Chance overdoses that night. Jessup and McMurphy bury him in the morning because that's what you do for the people you love. You bury the people you love. That was a big thing in The Walking Dead. You burn the zombies, you burn the walkers, and we bury the ones we love. The way it looks when Jessup and McMurphy wake up from the night is very much like he died because of his wounds, because he was so beat up. They find him, and he's pale, he's white, he's cold. And he overdosed. He overdosed on a chem because he couldn't run away. He's trying to run away, and he can't. He can't get away from what the past is. He feels like he's responsible for what happened to those people at Bitter Springs, his family. And Benny's little story didn't help him none too much. And because of it, Chance is now dead. Now, all of that character, this is one of my favorite stories in New Vegas, and it's not even in the game. It's in the comic book that came with the special edition if you paid a lot of money. But you can find the burial spot for Chance in the game. There's Chance's grave, which is southwest of the tribal village, which is believed to be the village that was being attacked by the fiends. You'll need a shovel. You can dig up his grave, and you can get his knife. It's a combat knife with a blood splattering on it. One of my favorite characters in New Vegas. And all that to be said about Jessup and McMurphy. Now, after that had happened, they say we're still going to go. They would not join up with Benny again, though, until they had buried their friend. Because, like I said, it's what you do for the ones you love. That's actually the first way you can tell if a species is developing some sort of civilization, some sort of intelligence that isn't just hunter-gatherer, is if the species starts to bury their dead. And I believe some sort of monkeys might be starting to bury their dead. I don't know. I'm not trying to make this political. It's just a thing that once a society starts burying their dead, it's like considered, I don't think it's like type 1, but something. Jessup, McMurphy, and Benny would then go to rob the courier of the platinum chip, and Benny would shoot the courier in the head. As you probably know, there's 15 million memes about it, and even if you've never played New Vegas, I'm willing to bet you know about getting shot twice in the head by Matthew Perry. McMurphy noticed that Benny was a tribal at some point, and Jessup would go on to steal Benny's lighter sometime later, but it's just something I wanted to point out now. The three of them, after shooting the courier, would go to Good Springs, to the Prospector Saloon, and tried to get away without paying Trudy. They went there and they thought that they, they're cons, and Benny's an ex-tribal who now thinks that he runs Vegas because he has the platinum chip. So he was like, give me what I want, see? And she made him pay. They then ran to Prim and Novak, and when they went to Novak, they ran into Manny Vargas, who was an ex-con. If you kill Manny or look around his room, you can find a note, a holotape, that McMurphy left for Manny, saying like, hey man, if things ever go south and this doesn't work out, you can come back home to your brothers and sisters. Even when a man is part of NCR, and he's Manny Vargas is an ex-NCR sniper, he is willing to say, hey man, I know that that's the opposition, but you're always welcome at home. You got to do what you got to do. And if things don't work out, you always have a place to be. This is like, I've known these stories, but it's made me rethink how I see the cons in such a beautiful way. And I just can't wait to go back and go do con missions again. As they approach New Vegas, they end up in a gunfight with an NCR patrolling unit, and they wound up taking shelter in Boulder City. And Boulder City is a big point of contention for the NCR. It's technically where they won the first battle of Hoover Dam, but a lot of innocent people died in Boulder City, and because of it, it's now in ruins, and there is a memorial to commemorate over 100 different people that died that were NCR there. Jessup and McMurphy grabbed a couple of hostages in the city, NCR Private Gilbert and Ackerman, and Benny used this as an opportunity to escape. Now he leaves to go back to the tops so he can go talk to Yes Man and see what he needs to see, and presumably wait there until the courier finds him, and he doesn't pay them. he doesn't pay Jessup or McMurphy, and McMurphy, because of the injuries he sustains from the little firefight before they got to Boulder City, he winds up dying. And that's when Jessup pinches Benny's lighter. When you go there, which is something that I feel like a lot of people don't know, you can get Benny's lighter from Jessup. You can also find some cigarettes from Benny at the Good Spring Cemetery, but you can get his lighter from him and you can show it to Swank when you show up. I have a little Zippo here on the shelf that I've been meaning to customize to make it look like Benny's. When the courier gets to Boulder City, he can defuse the situation and allow the cons to leave if he so chooses. If he lets them go, the courier can find Jessup back at Red Rock Canyon and have a little bit of a conversation with him. He doesn't have anything new to say about the situation with McMurphy or Chance or Benny, but you can talk to him again. And even when you get there, he's like, hey man, no hard feelings for, getting shot in the head, right? And the courier can shoot him. There's a bunch of different ways you can do the Boulder City quest. You can let them go. You can do this. You can do that. But this story, Jessup and McMurphy, I never realized how important these cons were until recently. Like, I knew they were in the game. I knew what they were doing. I knew about Chance's story. I made a point after I had read through the comic for the first time when I got the collector's edition. I made a point to go get a shovel and go to Chance's grave and get his knife because I was so moved by this. They're just characters that I really, really enjoy. They're really, really fun. They're really, really interesting. They bring such a light to New Vegas. And I hope you enjoyed that because that is this week's lore. Hey everybody, wasn't that great? Didn't you enjoy that? A little bit of Fallout lore to start your day? Maybe midday Fallout lore? Hell, right before bedtime? Doesn't get any better than this. If you like this, check out the Patreon. There's a link in the description below. If you want to have your voice heard, if you want me to do a certain piece of lore, the best way to get in contact with me is through the Patreon. The people who are on screen right now, I gotta thank them. Thank you to these fine folks right now. Because of them, the show can continue to grow and get bigger and better. And if you want to check it out, from the $1 tier to the $10 tier, your voice is heard every single week. I filmed the full Atomic Radio Hour podcast episodes live in our Discord. Hey, you know what? While you're here, check out the Discord. There should be a link in the description below. Check out my Twitter. Check out the show's Twitter. Come hang out. It's a good time. My name has been Vince. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you to the Patreon. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.